Robert Chen had imagined his daughter's wedding day for years, walking her down the aisle. First dance, tears of joy. He'd imagined many things. He had not imagined her marrying an alien. "Dad, please," Emily said, adjusting her wedding dress. "Just give Cale a chance. He loves me. I love him. That's all that matters." Robert looked at Calvin through the dressing room window. The Saurian stood 8 feet tall, his scales shifting from deep green to nervous blue as guests arrived. Reptilian features, 3-fingered hands, eyes that saw in spectrums humans couldn't imagine. And somehow he was marrying Robert's daughter. "It's not that he's alien," Robert lied. "It's just, what do you two even have in common?" "Everything that matters," Emily said firmly. "And you promised you'd be here? You promised you'd support me?" Robert had promised. 3 months ago when Emily announced her engagement, he'd smiled, shook Cale's hand or claw or whatever, said all the right things, but doubt had eaten at him ever since. Why would an advanced alien species want to marry a human? What was Cale really after? Robert said. "Front row," smiling. "I promise." The ceremony was beautiful. Traditional human vows mixed with Saurian bonding rituals. Emily looked radiant. Cale looked terrified and happy in equal measure, and Robert watched, trying to ignore the whisper in his mind that something was off. The reception was when everything changed. Robert found himself at the bar next to Cale's father, Ambassador Theron. The elder Saurian was imposing, formal, and had barely spoken to the human guests. "Ambassador," Robert said, trying to be polite. "Your son seems very happy. Does he?" Theron's voice was cold. "Mr. Chen, may I speak plainly?" "Of course. I oppose this marriage," vehemently. "Kyle is Saurian nobility. Your daughter is, forgive me, human. The match is inappropriate." Robert felt anger rising. "If you're going to insult my daughter, I am not insulting her." Theron interrupted. "I am stating political reality. This marriage serves no purpose for my son's career. It gains him nothing. It costs him his standing in Saurian society. I have spent months trying to understand why he chose this path." "Maybe he loves her," Robert said. "Love?" Theron made a sound like a snort. "Saurians do not marry for love alone. We marry for advantage, for alliance, for practical purpose. Love is secondary. I have concluded Kyle must have ulterior motive." The words hit Robert like ice water. Ulterior motive. The same fear he'd been suppressing for months. What kind of motive? I do not know. But I intend to find out. Tonight, I have hired investigators to examine your daughter's background, to understand what my son truly wants from her. Robert's protective instincts flared. "You investigated Emily?" "Of course. Just as you should have investigated my son." "Tell me, Mr. Chen, do you know why Cale chose your daughter?" "Really?" Robert didn't have an answer. He watched Cale and Emily dancing, looking perfectly happy, and realized he'd never asked. Never pushed. He'd been so busy worrying about the alien part that he hadn't questioned the why. "I'm gonna find out," Robert said. He found Cal alone on the balcony an hour later. The Saurian was staring at the stars, his scales a contemplative purple. "Beautiful night for a wedding," Robert said, joining him. "Yes. Thank you for being here, Mr. Chen. I know this was not easy for you. Can I ask you something? Why Emily, out of every human on Earth, every being in the galaxy, why my daughter?" Cale was quiet for a long moment. "Do you really want to know?" "Yes. Very well. I will tell you truth, even though it may ruin everything." Cale turned to face Robert. "I chose Emily because she is dying." The words didn't make sense. "What?" "Your daughter has a genetic disorder. You do not know because it is not detectable by human medicine. But Saurian medical scans revealed it 6 months ago when we first met. She has perhaps 3 years left, maybe less." Robert's world tilted. That's not possible. Emily's healthy. She's never been sick. The condition is dormant. But it will activate. Soon. Your daughter will die, Mr. Chen, unless she receives treatment that does not exist on Earth. But it exists for Saurians. Yes. As my wife, Emily gains full access to Saurian medical facilities. The treatment is complex, expensive, and reserved for Saurian citizens and their spouses. I could not save her any other way. Robert stared at this alien who'd married his daughter. "You married her to save her life." "I married her because I love her," Kyle corrected. "But I confess, I pursued her knowing she needed saving. Perhaps that makes me manipulative. Perhaps it makes me calculating. But I could not watch her die when I had means to save her." "Does she know?" "About the condition?" "No. I wanted to tell her. But human medical scans show nothing wrong. How do I explain that I see a death she cannot detect? That I married her to save her from a fate she does not know she faces?" Cale's scales rippled with distress. "I planned to tell her after the wedding. To explain everything. To begin treatment. But now you know first. And you look at me like I am exactly what you feared. An alien with ulterior motive. Robert's mind raced. Emily was dying. Kyle had saved her. But he'd done it through deception, through marriage, through methods that looked suspicious. My father believes I married for advantage, Cale continued. You believe I married for what? Access to something? Citizenship? Human technology? Both of you think so little of possibility that I simply love her. You just admitted you pursued her knowing she was sick, Robert said. Yes, because when I met Emily, when I saw her laugh and live and be so vibrantly alive, I could not accept that she would die. I researched ways to help, found nothing within human medicine, realized only way to save her was to make her saurian family. So I courted her, fell in love with her, genuinely, and married her to save her life. Is that wrong? I don't know. Robert admitted. You lied to her. I withheld terminal diagnosis she would not have believed anyway. Human doctors see nothing wrong. Why would she trust alien scans over human medicine? I planned to convince her to accept treatment by explaining science she could verify. That's still manipulation. Yes, Cale agreed. It is. But she is alive. And in 2 weeks, when I convince her to have standard medical scan at Saurian facility, we will detect condition. We will begin treatment, and she will live. Is that not worth small deception? Robert wanted to be angry, wanted to see Cale as the schemer his doubts had painted. But all he saw was someone who loved his daughter enough to cross species barriers, social conventions, and his own father's disapproval to save her. Why are you telling me this? You could have kept it secret. Because you are her father. You deserve truth. And because, perhaps, you can help convince her to accept treatment when time comes. She trusts you. Before Robert could respond, Emily appeared at the balcony door. There you are! What are you two talking about so seriously? Cale and Robert exchanged glances. Wetting nerves, Cal said smoothly. Your father was giving me advice on being good husband. And Emily prompted, smiling. He said make you happy, keep you healthy, love you always. I intend to do all three. Emily kissed Kyle's cheek. You already do. Now come on, they're about to cut the cake. Dad, you coming? In a minute, sweetheart. Save me a piece. After Emily left, Robert turned to Kyle. 2 weeks. You convince her to get scanned. You save her life. And if you hurt her, if this is anything other than what you say, I don't care how many light years separate our species. I will make you regret it. I would expect nothing less, Cal said. And Mr. Chen, thank you for trusting me with your daughter's life. I know it is not easy. I'm not sure I do trust you, Robert said honestly. But I trust that you love her. I see it. The way you look at her. The way you stood up to your own father for her. That's real. It is real. Everything else, the politics, the suspicion, the cultural differences, none of it matters compared to keeping her alive and happy. Robert watched through the balcony door as Emily laughed with guests, vibrant and healthy and completely unaware that she was dying. That her new husband had married her to save her life. That in 2 weeks, her world would shatter and rebuild. She's going to be angry when she finds out, Robert said. Probably, Cale agreed. But she will be alive to be angry. I accept that cost. 2 weeks later, Emily agreed to the medical scan. The Saurian doctors detected the condition exactly as Cale predicted. Emily was devastated, terrified, and furious all at once. You knew, she said to Kyle. You married me knowing I was dying. I married you knowing I could save you. Cale corrected. There is difference. You should have told me. Would you have believed alien scans over human medicine? Would you have married me if you thought I only did it to save you? Would you have accepted treatment from stranger instead of husband? Emily had no answer. The treatment took 6 months. Intensive. Painful. But effective. The genetic disorder that would have killed her was neutralized, and through it all Kyle stayed. Supporting. Loving, proving that his motives, however complicated, were genuine. Robert visited during her recovery. Still angry, he asked. Furious, Emily said. He manipulated me. Married me under false pretenses. He saved your life? I know. That's why I'm still here. He lied to me, Dad. But he lied to save me, and I don't know how to feel about that. Feel grateful, Robert suggested. Feel loved. Feel alive. You can be angry and grateful at the same time. That's allowed. Speaking from experience, your mother and I, we had our secrets. Things we kept from each other. Things we revealed at terrible times. But love isn't about perfect honesty. It's about choosing each other anyway. Emily looked at Kyle, sleeping in the chair beside her hospital bed, exhausted from weeks of supporting her through treatment. He gave up everything for this. His father disowned him. His career is destroyed. All to save some human he barely knew. Not barely knew, Robert corrected. Loved. He loves you, Emily. In his complicated, cross-species, slightly manipulative way, he loves you completely. 6 months later, Emily and Kyle renewed their vows, this time with full honesty. This time with Emily knowing exactly why Kyle had chosen her. And choosing him back, Robert gave them his blessing. Not because Kyle was perfect. Not because the situation was ideal. But because sometimes love looks like manipulation. Sometimes saving someone means deceiving them. Sometimes the alien who married your daughter for ulterior motives is exactly the person who deserves her. Thank you, Kyle said at the second reception. For trusting me, for supporting Emily, for accepting that my love, even with complications, is real. Just keep her healthy, Robert said. And happy? That's all I asked. Kyle promised. That is why I married her. That is why I will stay married to her, not for advantage. Not for citizenship. But because I cannot imagine universe without her in it. And Robert, watching his daughter dance with her alien husband, realized that was enough. Love didn't have to be simple to be real. It just had to be true. And Cal's love, manipulative beginning and all, was the truest thing Robert had ever seen.